One of the things that you guys focus on is also highlighting HBCU players. Can you tell us more about that? Because I definitely think that that's something that definitely needs to have highlighted. There's so many good players that come out of HBCU, so we love to see the collaboration. But can you give us a little bit more information regarding that?
Yeah, and it's not necessarily that they're necessarily highlighted. It's more so there's opportunity for scholarships that are then provided to those, and so it's not a case where now we're heightening this player and making them they're the best ever. Where it's giving that person an opportunity to continue to further their education, and FedEx is granting that in a scholarship form, and so that's where what comes in as far as us as players. We get to decide which HBCU we want to go and actually support. And then, those scholarships are then donated to that school to be actually furthered into their education system and their programs as well. So it's really a grant or scholarship, whatever one you want to call it. And then obviously helping that individual that receives that.
All right, Austin, I think the last time we had you on, Michael Smith was here. He told you his son, Mason, is a big fantasy football fan, and then you said hello to Mason. Mason came on screen, blew his mind. Oh wow,
Nice.
He's talking to Austin Ekeler, and you told him, he said, Mason, how dare you not draft me on your fantasy football team? So yeah, you kind of got him in order. Now, I live in Boston, and you were close by over the weekend. I told Rita, watch this game. Now, good for you guys, because you won it 6-0. However, it wasn't an artistic masterpiece. Let's just say it that way. It wasn't really a game for fantasy football players. When you're playing a game like that, it was in the rain, it was cold, like a typical New England December day, if you ask me. Like, what are your thoughts in that game? Hey, just get through it. Is it stay warm? Is it all it takes is one play? Just take us through your process
Yes,
in
all of
like
the
a
above.
mud fight like that.
All of the above. It made me realize how much I love the West Coast and being out here in California because, yeah, it's raining. There's a little wind. It's cold. I'm wet and cold, and it's raining, and so it's the trifecta. And yeah, it was awful. And being over here, used to the West Coast weather, I was definitely my body was just like having convulsions of just shivering. It's like, what is happening? So yeah, not a fan of that. But yeah, it was 6-0, which is like a historically low scoring game. Obviously I'm on the offense. So, we fell up short as far as our job, but defense was able to pull through. And look, we play a team game, and, if one side's struggling, hopefully the other side can pick it up. Special teams also made a big play in there that helped us out. So, it was a win. It wasn't the prettiest, but it is in the win column as a win for the Chargers. So good for us.
Definitely good for you. And as a result, you're not out of the playoff picture. Obviously, this season hasn't really gone the way I'm sure that you guys would have liked, but ultimately you're not eliminated at this point. So the next 4 of your last 5 opponents are going to be guys in your own division. How does knowing your opponent help you propel for this really murky AFC playoff picture currently?
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Murky. I like that because it is really murky right now. It is not clear who is there's a couple teams that have kind of separated themselves. But for the most part, there's a big chunk of us that are right in the middle of how is this going to play out? And we're all starting to play each other right now, especially coming down to the stretch for us, as you said, a couple division games as well. So right now, basically in my head, it's like our playoffs have already started. Like we got to continue to win out so we can make sure we give ourselves the best chance to make it. And, that's kind of what we expect from ourselves here at the end of the season. The end of the season is when the football is the most important because of the playoff implications. And now we're even playing our own division, which is like, okay, if we're going to continue to rise, this is the opportunity that we want. Is it the scenario that we wanted? No, obviously we'd want to be undefeated and they're already locked in, but that's not football. Football isn't you just dominate everybody and everyone rolls over for you. Like everyone's trying to dominate. So it's what makes it so great. So for us preparing, yeah, we have teams that we know well. We played these guys a couple times, every single year. And so we know what to expect. We know that, hey, these games are in the NFL. They're all winnable. But guess what? You got to show up on Sundays and go and execute. And so it's going to come down to that. We can do all the schemes and things like that. But are we making plays on Sunday is what it's going to come down to. And so where do you start by getting ready for that? Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. You got to make sure we put a good week of practice in. And then it's showtime on Sunday.
Austin, you would think I had some experience as a running back and maybe a member of the Ekeler family, if you heard me talking in the offseason about how running backs don't get their due. They deserve to be paid. I was with you all the way. Give Austin Ekeler his props. Give him his money. But what do you think it will take? Because it's beyond money. What do you think it will take for running backs to get the recognition that they deserve? I mean, think about it. Running backs are asked to do a lot. You know this. Hey, can you catch the ball? Good. Okay, good. Can you run the ball? Yeah, good. You can run the ball. How about blitz pickup? Yeah, sure. I can do that too. Like all the things you're asked to do and be out there. Are you a 3-down guy? Yes. Okay, good. And then when it comes to negotiating, people get a little stingy. What will it take for running backs to get the due that I feel like they deserve, and I know you feel like they deserve?
Yeah.
And let me put this in there as well, because it's not just the running back position that we're talking about here. I'm talking about just players in general. And really what was really frustrating for us during this offseason was the 3 franchise tags that happened to our top guys that were going into the free market, where basically there was no agreement. And so the NFL has this in their back pocket in the CBA where they can just set you into a locked number, and then there's no negotiating. You don't get a choice. You make this or you don't play. And that was really the issue. And it's not just because it's the running backs. It just happened to the running backs at that moment. But it's like, if you're going into a job, you come off of a pinnacle year, you did a really good job, you're about to get a new offer next year because your contract's up, and your company says, no, actually, you don't get to go and find a better offer. This is what you get. You're probably going to be pissed off and be like, no, that doesn't make any sense. And you can't go anywhere else either. You have to stay here, and this is what you're going to make. No. And so that's where we were frustrated, where it's like, hey, this shouldn't be a thing. These guys should be able to go get some type of offer from the free market and be open. And so it wasn't because it's the running backs. It was really because of guys in general. It's happened to the tight ends before. It happened to the safeties as well. And it's just something that we want to make sure that when we have a contract, because we don't play forever. So for you to be able to put us in these 1-year contracts without being able to negotiate, it's detrimental to us, because we maybe can go get more somewhere else. And so it's a deeper conversation than just the running backs, but it just happened to us. And so we were shedding light on that and really just sharing the narrative that, we don't appreciate this 1-year franchise tag option that we have going on that's been, hitting some of our guys. And so it's not something that's going to be changed early, but right now it's good for us to put the narrative out there that, this pisses us off. We don't like it.
Yeah, I think that you could potentially be on a team for up to 7 years, which is, a lot in terms of the history of the running backs. Is this something that you guys will continue to do, every offseason in terms of trying to make sure that you guys get paid what you believe to be the right way? Because I'm with you guys. I'm with Holly. I'm with you. I definitely think that running backs are undervalued, and for lack of a better term. Is this something that you will continue to push moving forward for the next off season and beyond?
Yeah, and I wouldn't say we're necessarily undervalued, but I don't think that's the word. I think it's more so, but we're not getting a fair value on the market because we're franchising our top guys that just came out. So there's no fair value there. We don't know what the market would have given those guys. We have no idea. Right. And then it affects everyone else. And so to determine whether we're overvalued, undervalued, you don't even know yet, because there was no opportunity to see kind of how the market played out for especially those top guys that will set the market for everyone else. But for us as an NFLPA, we're always continuing to make this a more efficient league. And the NFL is as well. They're trying to make it so that we can work together, and actually the system of the NFL players and organization ownership side, it works well and it meshes well. There's always going to be things that we're going back and forth on. This is probably one in the future as well. I'm not here. I can't make that decision. It has to come down to player votes and making sure that, hey, this is the agenda we're trying to push. As long as with Lloyd Howell, our new executive director, right, leading the helm for us. But yeah, we're always trying to make this more efficient in the business side and then safer on the health side. So it's a never-ending cycle of trying to continue to push. But if there's things that pop up, it's good that we have these conversations, because we need to know when there's deficiencies. So it's not necessarily a bad thing. It sucks it happened to some of our guys, but it's something that, okay, now we have on our agenda. Is this something we want to fix, and how can we do that?
Austin, tell us a thing or two about the position that, players would understand, but people who watch the game, even serious students of the game, would be surprised to learn that, hey, when you're a running back, this happens, or, this is what your body goes through, whatever it is. What would surprise us about the position that you could tell us?
I think just some things to highlight. teams that run the ball at a high level tend to win more games because they have less turnovers. It's less risky to run the ball, especially if you can do it successful. Most turnovers come from interceptions because quarterbacks are trying to throw it all the time and teams are trying to throw it all the time. Also helps you with time of possession, which if you lead the time of possession, you're probably going to be winning more games as well. And so there's other stats that we can go down to as far as like scoring in the red zone, tends to be, if you can run the ball in the red zone, it's a lot less risky. And you tend to have a higher percentage. You can go look at like the Eagles, for instance. They just do the push into the end zone every time, but there's a high percentage of being able to run the ball because there's less space. And so the efficiency in the run game plays a huge part in the game. It's never going to go away. And the significance isn't always as obvious because it's not like, oh, it was a 50-yard run where you can see you're going to see a lot more probably 50-yard passes than 50-yard runs. So it's kind of hidden as far as the real value that's in the running game. It's not flashy. And so there's not a lot of attention to it. And, we're paying these receivers a bunch of money, paying the quarterbacks a bunch of money. Because that's where the flash is. And like, oh my God, did you see this person? They made that crazy catch. And that's great. Like you're going to need those because you need chunk plays. I'm not saying the pass game is not important either, but I'm just saying it is also very important that your team is able to have some type of running game because there's going to be a lot of value that's picked up in there as well. And us as players, we understand that. But yeah, from the outside, because maybe it has this narrative of like, it's just a running game. We can just throw it in with our quarterbacks that we're paying, $50 million a year. That maybe gets overlooked.
You mentioned the tush push. Are you pro tush push, anti tush push? Do you think that do you like the help? Do you like someone pushing you to help you get into the end zone or get the first down? Do you want to do it all yourself? How do you feel about the tush?
It's football, right? Like what is football? Football is you got to go that way. They have to go this way. And so if we get guys behind each other, and we're pushing our bodies into you, through you, past you, then that's what football is. At a fundamental level, it's like we got to go that way. How do we do that? Well, we got to block the guys in front of us. Okay, boom, let's do that. And that also, hey, you get some help. Like when I'm a running back and I have someone like behind me pushing me as we get the pile going, like it's one of the best feelings because you feel like you're all connected and you feel like, hey, we're imposing our will on somebody and they can't stop us and we fall forward. And so yeah, I am pro. I don't think you can really get rid of it because I think it is just the fundamentals of football.
Hey, thank you for watching Brother from Another. If you haven't hit that subscribe button, go ahead and do that now. Don't forget you can catch us 3 to 4 weekdays on PeacockTV.com and on Sirius XM Channel 85.